Hello and welcome to Seagulls Social, Season 3, Episode 10. And we have got an absolute cracker today because we are joined... Well, first of all, sorry, Marcus, to do this to you. Let's introduce Ben and Ryan first.
There we go. The important people in this podcast.
The important...
100%.
the big boys. But of course, we are joined by the legend himself, Marcus Smith, England's number 10. How are we doing, Marcus? You all good?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I'm all good. Good to be on here. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I've watched a few clips here and there, and
that's bad. That's so weird.
We didn't pay him to say that as well, by the way. If you listen, you probably think it has happened, but we didn't even pay him.
Boys, clip that up, and we'll get it on socials ASAP. That's gonna be our new bio, I think. Marcus. Yeah. Right, Marcus. Thank you so much for making time. I know you've been busy with the house move, and obviously you got a lot going on as well. Let's just kick off. We'll first kick off with just the game, of course, Spurs game. It wasn't the best game, a bit disappointing. Just kick us off, mate. What do you think of the game in general?
So I managed to get down there in the end. I was planning on going Eubank, Conor Ben, but sadly that was cancelled. And my brother messaged me saying there's a free ticket. And to be honest, the first time seeing a bit of De Zerbi ball, and I thought a couple of times my head was in my hands. I thought we played a bit too much from the back, but ultimately I like the way I like the style of play. I watched I'm that much of a nose. I watched De Zerbi's tactics with Sassuolo, and he said that
no way.
That's what he wants to do. So fair play. With 2 weeks of training, I like the intent. I like the style of play. I just think in time, obviously, I think they'll get better. But it was frustrating because we were knocking on the door for bloody ages, and we couldn't quite break them down. But it's tough when they've got 11 people behind the ball, literally on the edge of the box. So
it's so awful to watch.
It's so annoying.
It's so
just so annoying.
Yeah. It's like anti-football versus pro football, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, mate, honestly, it's a testament to us, like how we've now got big six teams coming to the Amex who have to literally park the bus, put 11 men behind the ball, as you say, to get a result. That's mad because massive. You know, Tottenham coming to the Amex 5 years ago, it'd have been, let's just hope, you know, we can get anything out of this game, keep the score down potentially if Harry Kane's on it. Whereas now it's like we go to Tottenham, we're really, really disappointed with a 1-0 loss, and a game that we, to be honest, played all right in for the most part.
Yeah, I thought we got. I saw a lot of Twitter reaction and social media reaction as we always get from after a Brighton game, and I saw a lot of people like saying, "Oh, it was we weren't that great," but I thought we were good. I thought most parts we dominated. It's just like you said, Marcus and Ben as well. It was literally anti-football. He just put 10 men behind the ball, Conte style defensively, and it was just very frustrating to watch. But Ben, any other sort of insight into the game?
Well, I was underneath the flag. I don't know if you saw the flag in the North Stand. That was quite fun to drag along.
Yeah, that was sick at the start.
That was nice. I must have looked like a right prat just standing in the stairs, like pushing it over in that. I just think on another day, like Solly March's chance would probably go in. Danny Welbeck might have scored. It was just a horrendous game to go to if you did go to it. It was just an awful game all round. Spurs defended well. That's the only thing I can say positive.
Plus the train strikes as well. So
that was chaos.
Everyone was bloody delayed getting in there, and even I had to wait for the bus at Mill Road with my dad and my brother, and we were there for like 40 minutes. We were worried about missing kickoff, and I'm glad I got there in the end, and it was good to be back at the Amex.
Do you get recognised at the Amex, Marcus?
I was just about to ask that.
Hey.
There's a few fans near me that must watch their rugby, but I've got really close to the guys around me now that I've been going to the Amex for probably five or 6 years, and it's been good. Like they don't really bother me. They know that I'm there for the football, not anything else. So it's
all the selfies.
It's good. No, there's none of that. There's none of that, Maz. None of that.
Just a quick one. Sorry, you're telling us off air that football is miles better than rugby. Obviously, can you confirm that live on air for us?
I love my football. I can't confirm that. I love my football. When I was younger, I did want. No, I did want to be a footballer when I was younger. My mum definitely wanted me to be a footballer, and I do love my football. We still have our fantasy league up at Quins, and
nice.
We've even got an England one going this year. So we're all behind it, and we all got our teams. So
who's your captain, Marcus?
It's Erling Haaland, obviously.
Standard. Yeah.
Did you have a trial? So, did you have a trial at a Premier League team, current Premier League team? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, I had a trial at Tottenham when I was young, when I was 14. Didn't get in, and I remember crying down the phone. My mum was in America at the time with her family, and I remember crying down the phone to her, telling her how cutthroat and ruthless football is, and I think it kind of taught me a few things around toughening up. But it's never nice to get told you're not good enough. And yeah, I remember it to this day. I was driving back to Brighton from North London. It was a nightmare, to be honest, in the car.
Just wondered, thinking, I'm going to have to be a rugby player, just crying down the phone. I don't have to be rugby now. I'm going to give up on football. It's gone quite well, though, isn't it?
How long after, Marcus, was it when you got rejected by Spurs that you went into Quins? What was the sort of the gap?
I reckon it was around 14, 15 as well. So I reckon it must have been about 6 months.
Oh, man.
Probably close that. I played for a little bit for Brighton Centre of Excellence. So I think it's one below the academy. With a few guys there, which was quite good. But again, Brighton College being more rugby dominated as well, it was quite hard to carry up both. But I still went to the Amex. I still enjoyed playing a little bit in the summer holidays and stuff when I was at school down at Hove Park and on that 3G. You know, the old 3G. Now they've done it up, but the old one. Yeah, I used to be there all the time with my brothers. It was good crack.
Unreal.
So Marcus, how was it? Goes on. Yeah, go on. So how was it that you got into sort of becoming a Brighton fan, loving the club as much as you did? I know you're around Brighton, but was it just that, is there any similarities to rugby in that way? Was it, the sportiness, or was it just that it was there, you wanted to watch Brighton play?
Yeah, so my dad's born and raised in Brighton. He moved to Asia when he was about mid-20s, I think. He had enough of Brighton or enough of England and moved to Asia. And whenever we moved back, when I was 13, he always wanted to live in Brighton. So since I was 13, me and my brothers were asking him for season tickets when we first arrived, but there was a massive waiting list for the Amex, and we only managed to get them when I was 15, 16, and I still remember days down there, like Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights in the Championship, which was tough.
Good old days.
Obviously, we were doing well for some years, and then there was some relegation battles in the Champ, and I kind of just enjoyed being at the ground. I love my football anyway, and my dad being a proud Brightoner, I guess, I kind of carried that on, and my brothers love him to bits as well, and my youngest brother was still trying to make him a Brighton fan. He still loves Arsenal.
Just about to say, my cousin James Sparser, who you know, obviously he was asking me to ask you, how did you become the Brighton fan when you've got a Liverpool fan and also an Arsenal fan in your family as well?
Yeah, so Luke liked Liverpool. In Asia, Brighton weren't that big. But sadly, that's sad. But Luke's now converted to a Brighton fan.
Good on him.
And yeah, so there's two of us now, and the youngest one we're still working on. Every time Arsenal come to the Amex, he's begging for a bloody away ticket. So and he's giving it large in the away end.
No.
Well, I saw you at Fulham away. You were wearing your Lad Bible jumper. That was quality. I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was actually a new present from Maz. So
yeah, come on. I'm glad you liked it, mate. I thought you was going to be one of those presents where it's like you take it home, like really polite. Yeah, I'll take it, and then you should never ever wear it again. So it goes in the bin. Yeah. So
straight to the girlfriend.
Once. I wore it first and last.
Love it. Also, quick question. Sorry, I'm sort of going back a little bit. What position did you play? When you were trialing for Brighton and stuff, well, you played for Spurs and Brighton. What position did you play?
I played centre mid.
Okay, spraying those passes, yeah.
Yeah, I was locking it down like Liam Bridcut in the middle.
Liam Bridcut.
Hey, that's a thrower.
He is class. He is unreal.
He was.
Mate,
Class.
sick.
Love that.
He was.
Mate, for Brighton, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The thing I remember about Bridcut is he
Chelsea,
out-jumped everyone. Like, I remember specifically he out-jumped Mertesacker and he was like 5'5". It was crazy. I don't know if you remember that. His leap was crazy.
There's nothing wrong with being short, Ryan. There's nothing wrong with being short. Just quickly, on the whole, obviously Brighton memories, you talk about Liam Bridcut and obviously the Amex and stuff. What's been your fondest memory as a Brighton fan to date?
My fondest memory as a Brighton fan? I to be honest, I enjoyed... it was when Potter was still there. We went Arsenal away and we won 3-2.
Nice.
And I took my housemate at the time, Caden Murley, who I've managed to convert. He still supports United, but I told him we're going to come hard on them. So he likes Brighton now. So he made the jump. But that result was unreal. I think that's that set the tone for me, where like we could probably mix it with the big boys. And I think it was, I would say that time. And then back in the day, it was probably when we got promoted. And I got on the field as well when Knockout and all the boys were singing all the songs, and we still got our videos that me and my brother still have, because we managed to get on the field from East Upper down to the field, so it was class.
Nice, man.
No, that's unreal.
You mentioned growing up in Asia very briefly, but obviously some people might not know that. So you grew up in the Philippines and then Singapore, right? What was it like growing up in both countries? It
was unreal, mate. I think it's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't lived there, but just the range of people that you meet over there. That, like, I was hanging around with a lot of English people, expats who lived there, as well as Aussies, South Africans, New Zealanders. So for me, with regards to rugby and sport, the level was actually quite good. And we went on some brilliant tours together to Australia, to KL in Malaysia. And a lot of the life was being outside just because the weather was so good. So that's why kind of all three of us have found the love for sports and just being outdoors and enjoying each other's company, really. But the lifestyle is completely different. Like we have a lot of barbecues the whole year round. We play in the parks barefoot, which is completely different to here and stuff like that. So it's hard to explain.
You get called something wrong if you walk around the park barefooted in winter or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You might find a few needles in East London as well.
Yeah.
You don't want that. But no, just going on to it as well. So going from that, having that extremes of like you said, parkies every day, all that kind of stuff, to then moving to England, getting you moved to Queens. What was that like, and how did the move come about as well?
So my dad always wanted to move back to Brighton, mainly for his job and to see my grandparents who both live here, as well as for us three, because the level of exposure over here and the people you can meet in England is obviously much greater opportunity over here. And I think it was a blessing that we came back at that time, because 13 probably roughly when you join a senior school, and we were very lucky. We got scholarships to Brighton College, and I guess that the main memory I have is arriving in Brighton. I think it was around August, September. It was starting to get cold, starting to get darker at like 4 or 5 p.m. And my mum and the three of us really struggled just around the darkness, really. We'd go to school in the dark and get home in the dark. And we were never used to that growing up in Asia. But we soon got over that because of the friends we made and the experiences we had. Playing sport, doing things in Brighton, and Brighton's a great place to grow up. So it was a good move, I think, in the end.
What's your favourite thing about Brighton?
First of all, I love the summer, so I like going down the seafront, kicking the ball about on the lawns.
Nice.
Shout out
what else
lawns.
we do? Playing golf at the Dyke. I like swimming once in a while. I used to love the pier. I used to love the dolphin game at the pier.
Elite.
I don't
know the dolphin.
Where you throw the balls.
Put the balls in there. Yeah, it's a race.
Oh, it's unreal.
I was surprised
I
didn't get to go in the arcade. Yeah, she did.
I used to love that. So go on.
I actually have a question on that
as well.
When you go down the lawns to play what, rugby or football? So see, what's natural?
It's quite tough to play touch rugby in my time off. But back in the day. We used to do both. So we used to bring a rugby football, we'd bring quick cricket around. We just do everything with my mates. But a lot of it was just like one bounce, is it? Like keepy uppies, one bounce. And then we do like headers and volleys and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
so probably football, to be honest. A lot of my mates in Brighton prefer their football.
Marcus, were you that annoying kid at school that was good at every sport? I bet you were, weren't you? You're that annoying kid, just good at every sport.
I love my sport, and I was all right at football and rugby, and
all right. So you're a current England international. You had Charles at Spurs. Yeah, I bet you were sick at cricket as well, weren't you? You were good at cricket as well.
I was alright at cricket, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
of course
sixes every time.
You went to Brighton College, bro. Right? Don't lie to me. I know.
I hated people at Brighton College, honestly. From Newman, we would just like despise them. Just too good at everything. Every sport, too good.
Yeah.
But Marcus, how sort of shifting it onto your rugby career, how sort of important is it for you now playing for your boyhood club, right, in Harlequins, and how important is that for you, and special is it now to represent them?
Yeah, it means a lot. I was very lucky enough to get offered a contract when I was 18, but my journey with Quins started a lot longer ago, and moving to Brighton College, Quins control Sussex and Surrey, and for me I got in the academy, as I said, when I was 14, 15, and it was a dream of mine to play one game for Quins, let alone I think I've got 100 and something now, and every time I do it, I love it to bits. Running out at the stoop, we've only got 13,000, 14,000 fans, but it sells out every week. They always appreciate our efforts on the field, and for me, it's just special that I've come through the academy with many young guys who I played against for school, and now we're playing together in the first team, and to do that together with a group of mates is brilliant, and it's something that I always cherish every time I get the opportunity.
That's class. And just on talking of Quins, I know you got the record. Well, you're second, innit? You're second youngest. How did that feel? George Ford obviously being the youngest. Does that ever, just must be a mad thing to think about, that you were so young to make you're the second youngest ever to make your debut. What was that like?
Yeah, that was mad. I was actually chatting to my mum and dad about it the other day, and my first game, I basically, there was 2 injuries at fly half in the pre-season, and the head coach started me in one of the pre-season games. I think it was the third one of 3, and I did all right in that game, and there was 2 injuries there. And I know you're going to say, When
you say you did all right, you scored like 70 points or something, yeah. No. You scored like 70 points, 8, whatever.
No, so I did all right in that game, and then I remember this vividly. He told me on that Monday morning, he said, you're starting in the first Prem game, and I remember leaving that room, I was shaking in excitement, and I had to call my mum and dad straight away and tell them, and my debut was at Twickenham as well, which was pretty special. There was 70-odd thousand there. I had about, I think, 5 or 6 of my old schoolmates from Brighton come up for the day.
Mad. Up
at Twickenham, and it was amazing. Apart from the fact I got concussed about 55 minutes in. They got banged.
Banged.
I didn't want to mention it, but thanks for mentioning that, Marcus. Well, all joking aside, like it's a crazy, crazy thing to do at such a young age. But yeah, Ben, I know you had a follow-on question to that.
Sorry, I'm completely distracted there. Moving on away from that, I guess. How valuable has it been learning from players like Danny Care? Obviously, more senior players, being such a youngster within the team. How have they been for you?
Yeah, they've been brilliant. Ever since I joined the club, as I said, when I was young, they seem to always have my back. There's loads of them: Danny Care, Joe Marler, Mike Brown, Chris Robshaw. I didn't really have any right to get their respect so quickly, but I was given their respect, and they told me that a number of times when I was younger, and to have that sort of confidence given to you when you're 18, especially at fly half, where you've got to give orders on the field, you've got to boss the senior players around, because that's just part and parcel of my position. But they never gave me a hard time. They always looked after me when I made mistakes, of which I made a lot in my first 3 years. I still do today, but they've always had my back. And even the coach, back then it was John Kingston, and he said to me, you've got England's most capped scrum half at the time, Danny Care at scrum half. You've got Jamie Roberts, who's a British and Irish Lion and Welsh legend, outside you. So if anything goes wrong, it's their fault. So to have that again, to have that sort of backing so early, was amazing for me, and it allowed me to be myself on the field, which I think helped a lot. And those guys teach me everything. Like they teach me what to do as well as what not to do, and from all the mistakes they've potentially made in the past.
Did they teach you to play golf as well? Because I watched you and Danny watched you playing with tubes. That must have been so sick. I watched that show all the time. And then I saw you on it. I was like, surely not. This kid's doing bits. But what's it like going from obviously them being idols and then
so that's the barometer of success is that to make it on tubes.
to play golf with tubes. It's definitely,
forget the World Cup. Forget the World Cup. You made it, bro. You made it.
Like, genuine question. What's it like being mates with them now? Obviously, when you were younger, you must have looked up to them massively.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's. Sorry, can you still see me?
Yeah.
It's a bit strange, to be honest. Especially early on when I was rooming with these guys and they were inviting me for dinner and stuff like that. When we went on away trips, it was almost a pinch yourself moment. Especially as I was a big rugby nose. Still am a big rugby nose. So these guys were my idols. And to be invited to play golf and stuff like this with DC and other boys is pretty special. And my dad still has to pinch himself when he shakes their hand sometimes because he's still in awe of all of them.
Marcus, does he fanboy and stuff?
Yeah, my dad sometimes. Yeah,
I've always wondered what's tubes like, because everyone that ever gets interviewed by tubes, every sportsman, everyone's always like trusts him straight away. Every time I watch him, was he good to actually be with as a guy? Because he seems like the interviewer's dream to be sort of guy, you know.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's got this aura about him when he's in front of the camera. He's so charismatic. He's funny. He's got good chat, good banter, and it rolls off his tongue. Some people find it. I find it really hard sometimes to speak in front of cameras and that. But he's a complete natural. And the way he was just making jokes, I'd skew a ball into the trees, and he'd go like, "Oh, Yuri Treelemans or stuff like that." That's just come on. Like, how the hell are you thinking of that?
He loves it. He's got so when you go in the bunker, he always goes, "You're in the Lewis bunk." That's
he says
Lewis dunk and that. Yeah, he's got that one.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. No, I was just about to say. I thought you were describing me at one point when you said.
Is that your role model, Maz?
Mate, I'd love to be like Juice, bro. I'm just trying to be like him, man. But no, that's class. And going on to just playing for England as well, because again, it's sort of the pinnacle, I suppose, for any international player to play for your country. I suppose. How difficult has it been, or has it been difficult transitioning the style of rugby, from Quins to England, or do you find similarities in that?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. Ultimately, rugby is a simple game, but obviously there's coaches that have different styles of play, and there's other players in the team that have different styles of play as well. And the tough thing, I think, going to England is getting 13 clubs to play the same way in a short space of time. Obviously, we meet up in camp probably a week before any game, so to get on the same page in terms of ideas and feel on the field about where boys are going to run in certain situations, it does take time. So I think that's been the hardest thing, but ultimately it's a simple game plan at England, and it's something that I've learnt having been there, obviously playing for a year and a bit now, as well as I was very lucky to be an apprentice for 3 or 4 years before that. So learning off the guys like Owen Farrell, Cipriani, George Ford, these sort of guys, they made it pretty easy for me, and they always looked after me if I had any questions. So yeah, I guess that's the hardest thing is trying to get on the same page so quickly.
I was going to say, did you? Because I think I saw a picture on your Instagram story when you met Declan Rice and Mount at the England football camp. Did you exchange notes with them about experiences in different England camps and rugby in England or anything like? What was the conversation like, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, no. For me, it was just first of all, I was invited up there to look at the environment and try and pick up some bits for me personally, as well as for Quins and hopefully for England, and just chatting to those two guys who are brilliant blokes, brilliant players as well. Just them sharing their not struggles, but things that they have to go through in their job, and me chatting to them about some things that I go through with rugby. It was nice to just transfer some information and share some, I guess, of the insights of both transferring from England to club and vice versa. Obviously, they have got to do it in shorter space of time, but there is also similarities around do they get on the same page slightly earlier, and stuff like that? Because, as I said, for me, that's the toughest thing, is rocking up into camp and trying to, I guess, carry on from your club form that got you picked there in the first place.
It's like going from a French class to a Spanish class in school.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
exactly.
Completely forget everything you've just done in French.
100%, and it's one of them things that I think hopefully with time, hopefully in the next few years, if I'm playing for England still, I'd find that a lot easier.
Yeah, Marcus, you say about styles of play, everyone has different styles of play. I mean, your style of play is literally run at everyone, plenty of flair, and it literally works every time. At your age as well, it's unbelievable to watch. And I've always wondered, like, you say you're a big football boy as well. How much of that do you get from football, if anything, really? Or is that just something that's natural to you?
I would say a lot of it is for me watching rugby, but I think like back in the day when I was young and in Asia, watching the Sevens and watching the Fijians run riot at the Hong Kong Sevens. But I do definitely think there's transferables. For example, when you're like I played centre mid, so you have a lot of people around you. You've got to feel space. You've got to understand when you're under pressure. I think that those sort of things you can transfer across, as well as obviously being a kicker. I was told when I was young by every football coach I've had to try and kick off both feet. So I think it's made it a lot easier to kick a rugby ball, knowing that I've been able to kick a football since I was 7, 8, 9.
It's like spraying a diagonal as a centre midfielder in a football. Some of your kicks that you've done and assists that you've got is very similar, like just spraying the ball out wide to the wing. It's very similar.
Yeah, so in rugby they're cross kicks and the kick's slightly different, but I think timing on the ball onto the ball, I think there are transferables about how you like if you just pick up a football and punt it, there's certain ways to get more distance, similar to rugby ball.
We talk about the style of play, but also the mentality of these things. Running into some of the most toughest teams in the world, like South Africa, etc. That mentality in you to do that. I mean, where does that come from? To just be crazy and run into these situations.
I think, as I said, to be honest, when I'm running with a ball in hand, I don't really think that much. I think it's not muscle memory.
It's almost best not to, right? It's just natural.
Yeah, exactly. Just run and think of the consequences after. But it's one of them things. Like I've watched so much rugby growing up, and as I said, seeing these Fijian guys who would look one way, pass the other, sidestep anyone in front of them. I think I remember practicing that loads with my brothers growing up. We could be out in the garden for hours, doing side steps against each other, one-on-ones and stuff like that, which I think puts you in a good position now. But as you said, it's probably better not for me to think of anything, because if you get caught by one of these big lads, it does to be honest, at the bottom of rucks.
What's sort of the worst one you've had? Big hits. Have you had any proper bad ones that stick into mind?
The concussion one in my first ever game was like a welcome to men's rugby. There was one against Australia last year where he got me good. It was Hunter Paisami, who's this 12 for the Reds in Australia, and he's massive. Like he's short and stocky and strong. And he caught me on the left side. I fumbled the ball everywhere, and that was a big hit.
I'm definitely not comparing my challenges to yours, because I think I had a few training sessions for the Year 7 rugby team at Newman. When we had trials, and I realised that rugby wasn't my sport when I got hit by this lad called Chiro, and he was an Italian lad. He was huge, and me and my mate Hugh had to go arm in arm just to take him down because we were so small and he was so massive. And I was like, nah, rugby's not for me.
Not for you.
No, I got one as well. It was when I was Newman as well. I think I was in year 9, year 8, I want to say. And this guy called Gabriel, he was an absolute beast. And I'll never forget, on the Newman playing grounds, it was mad dry. And obviously, bear in mind, I'm like 2 foot tall, and he's like, what? At the time, I think he was tall for his age, like whenever year 9 we were. He's dump tackled me, and I've just cracked my head on the thing. And because obviously it was so dry. bro, I was gone for like 30 seconds. I was like, you know when you get a cartoon,
birds flying around.
I was like, yeah, this rugby stuff ain't for me, mate. It's not fun, mate.
I used to be the kid that used to just choose to be in the like worst team in the whole of the PE set.
Forgot your PE kit, right?
Yeah, me and my mate Cal, we'd play every single game, and it was football. We'd want to play every single game, start in the best team we could. When it came to rugby, we'd be like, yeah, no, we'll just do the tag rugby. So we'll stay
I forgot my boots there, so I can't play.
Forgot my shorts.
Yeah.
And then final one on the England sort of the camp, I suppose. What's it like with Eddie Jones in camp? Is he a hands-on manager? Is he more of a sort of like just get on with it, lads? What kind of manager is he?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's taught me a lot personally, and I love the way he does his meetings and stuff like that. He's very informative with his meetings. He's very creative as well as informative, and he tries to spice up his meetings, which I love. And then on the training field, he's brilliant. He always gives you little pointers, one-on-one pointers, as well as team pointers. If he wants things to improve and ramp up, he does that as well. So for me, he's been brilliant, and I've loved working with him.
Unreal.
Just a quick one. Sorry, sticking with managers quickly. I think so. After you won the Premiership with Quins, you had a new head coach, right?
Yeah.
Is there? I guess that doesn't really work because you were doing well anyway. But maybe for a team that aren't performing well, is there a manager bounce like there is in football? Like, you know, when a team's doing poorly, they get a new manager in and they have that next game where they do unbelievable. Is it very similar in rugby as well?
Yeah. So actually, if you look back at when we won the league, the start of the season we were around 7th or 8th, and we actually lost our head coach. He left the club, and immediately after we had a big bounce. I think for us, we spoke a lot about that week. I still remember it was just about all hands on deck. Everyone needs to pull more % of the work because we've lost a man, and for us, we saw an immediate bounce. And I think for Tabs, it was tough coming in on the back of that, because as you said, you don't, as a coach, what do you do? Do you change everything, or do you leave it? And what I noticed is he did a lot of observing. He did a lot of chatting one-on-one with players, and I like that about him. He's very approachable, very easy to talk to, and I think he's made changes at the right time. So he's been brilliant coming in. But I agree with you, Ben. We definitely saw a quick improvement on the back of losing a coach.
And just quickly as well, talking of coaches and managers leaving, Graham Potter obviously left to go Chelsea, the absolute snake. What were your thoughts, Mark? Are you happy with De Zerbi coming in? Obviously, are you gutted to lose him? What were your thoughts when Potter left?
I was with my brothers actually, and me and Luke were desperate for Potter to turn it down. When the offers started coming in, it was on Sky News and stuff like that. I kept refreshing my phone to see if it was confirmed. I had a gut feeling it was going to be confirmed. Obviously, Chelsea are a huge club, not just now, but for the last 20 odd years. So fair play to him. I think I was just gutted that we lost all our coaches, as opposed to just him.
Nothing left.
It's mad.
but I think ultimately. He's got to do what he's got to do, and fair play to him. But watching De Zerbi's tactics video, which I'm happy to share with all of you guys, because it's very insightful. I like him as a manager. He says he wants to score goals. He says he wants to be attacking. He wants to attract pressure in the box and then break quickly, which I like. Just hopefully they can do it a touch better than they did on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on the subject of Brighton, I think it's probably best now to address the sort of situation that's been over the last day or so with Enock Mwepu. I think while we're on it, I think it's horrible, absolutely horrible news to see yesterday about Enock. And honestly, everyone from here on Seagulls Social, and obviously I'm sure Marcus is the same, we wish him honestly all the best, and all the family the best, and everyone at the club and everyone involved. It is absolutely horrible. You can't even explain how horrible the situation is at the moment. It's probably one of the most upsetting things personally, as well as a Brighton fan, that I've had to experience or witness. It really is horrible. And Marcus, I'm sure you must be able to relate on some level as a sportsman as well. To that's 24 years old, Enock Mwepu, to never play football again. Although he is extremely lucky, can we just say? And by the way, Graham Potter's touch was class in what he said. That he is very lucky to be alive and very lucky to be, well, which is good, and he can stay hopefully within the squad. But Marcus, I'm sure you probably would see that, as a sportsman, not playing again. It must be a very difficult thing to wrap your head around, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's been a couple of Harlequins that have had to have that conversation with the doctor or physios, and it's extremely sad. I know how some of the boys in that change room were feeling, and you never want to see that happen to anyone. And for me, especially being so young, it's tough. It's tough to hear that. It must be horrific to hear. But I think the support that he'll get from not only the club, but I think the footballing world, as well as his teammates, will be special. And I hope he feels that, because, yeah, as I said, it's horrific news to hear that to anyone, and even some of our mates who have long-term injuries of 6 to 9 months are devastated, let alone being told not to play again. And yeah, it must hurt to bits, but I just hope he gets support he deserves, as well as all the best in his next venture, of which he's sure he'll smash.
His nickname's the computer, innit? I'm guessing that's because he's so intelligent, and I just hope for his sake that he can be brought in as a coach or something like that, or maybe start learning to be a coach a bit and have that process.
Just be in and around that squad morale or something, I think, just even that. I really hope that, moving on to Brentford's later on when we do talk about that, but I really hope that that's now that almost he's there and we almost do it for him now. I really hope that's what we put across for the season, because it's really, really emotional, to be honest. It's hard to even for us to talk about, to be honest. It really is a very horrible situation. Maz, I know you want to say something.
Yeah, no. I just want to ask as well, Marcus. Just from like Ryan said, really well put, by the way, Ryan. Just to echo what Ryan said. Really. Well, we send all our best wishes, obviously, here at Seagulls Social, and just from a sportsman perspective as well, Marcus. How important is it to, like, from a mental perspective? Because obviously, like you said, like, your whole world, I suppose, just collapses overnight, right? Like, you've gone from being a professional sportsman at such a young age and sort of starting to hit your stride as well at Brighton, enjoying his football, etc. Just from a mental standpoint, how important is it to have that support from not only your teammates, your family, but also from the club, I suppose, and from the FA and, the powers that be? Because I'm sure, the fans, like, just basically everyone around them, really. Like, how important is it to have that structure in place, especially, when it comes to, we see, the FA have certain plans in place. I'm sure the RFU have similar plans in place. How important is it from a sportsman perspective to have that support?
Yeah, it's massively important. I think it's sometimes you get put in this bracket that you're immortal and you're untouchable in terms of feelings and in your head. But there's a lot of guys who struggle from this, as well as long-term injuries, and I think just the support, hopefully, that he receives from his teammates, as well as the footballing world, I think will make him feel better about himself, as well as hopefully guide him to his next venture, of which I'm sure he'll smash, because he's got to where he is down to hard work and motivation, and I'm sure in whatever he goes into next, he'll apply himself the same. So I wish him all the best, and as you said, the support network needs to be there around him, because no one knows how he's feeling right now, and just to touch base with him would be special for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just to round it off, I'm sure that the support that he's received on social media must be overwhelming for him, to be honest. I think that football really does come together. You have every single club, every single journalist, everything I think that I've seen on social media has come together for Enock Mwepu, and as we'll reiterate again, we do send our sincerest thoughts and everything towards him, and love and support, because it must be Absolutely devastating.
Just final thing from me. Well, just the final thing on this. I just think it's super cruel. Like how he went from it's like a fairy tale story from being a Zambian, playing in Zambia, making his way through like the leagues. I think was he at Salzburg? Is it?
And Austria.
Yeah, an incredible story actually.
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking to be honest. Like to go from sort of nothing to something, and then I suppose that sounded really harsh. I didn't mean to come across like that. But like sort of, that journey, I didn't articulate that as well as I wanted to. But it's gone from he's gone from that sort of that boyhood sort of dream story to then getting that awful news, and then now having to navigate that. But yeah, I genuinely wish him all the best, and I'm sure, like Marcus said, he will smash it.
I've got a really tough job to segue into the Lions stuff. But thank God you said about having a dream as a boy. So you obviously got a call up to the Lions. Absolutely mad. Was that something you expected or that you saw coming? Thank you. Cheers.
No, to be honest, it was one of them things where I had to pinch myself, and how I got the news as well was unbelievable. I was pulled down the tunnel straight away and told the news, and for me, it was always a dream of mine down the road, and to be picked on the back of my first couple of England caps was amazing. And again, the boys who I met down there were brilliant guys. They looked after me the minute I arrived. We had some good fun as well as some tough training sessions, and obviously a tough tour for the boys that played in the test matches. But again, it was one of them moments that I always wanted to be a part of, just because I watched all the documentaries growing up. I saw like Living with the Lions in 97 and other documentaries in 2013, 17 as well. And yeah, to finish, I guess, that season off with a trip to South Africa was unreal. And the only time I really had to celebrate that was on the plane from here to Qatar. I was just sat in the seat, just like, I can't believe this is happening, and thank God I found my passport, because obviously it was during COVID and I didn't fly for about a year and a half. So it was one of them things that when I got the news, I was rushing home trying to find my passport, because that would have been an awful thing if I couldn't find that.
Or even if it was expired, that would be
exactly.
On holiday. Sorry, boss, can't make it. Sorry, just quick. Still on that. I see. This is what I don't understand. Like, as a consistent Premiership rugby player, in my head, surely you think it's achievable. Surely you think, there's a possibility. Did you not think that? You just completely erased it from your mind. No,
obviously, I was called in as injury cover. So once the tour squad got selected, my focus was with England and with Quins, and you always have these dreams and aspirations. And for me, I believe in myself, so I did feel it was achievable, and I still do for the next one. But that's not in the forefront of your mind. You're too busy playing other games and trying to improve as a player and a person, that you don't really think of them that much. But when I got the news, I was buzzing. Rushed home, packed my bags, and got on the plane. I was super excited.
What a dream, man.
Love it. Yeah, that's class. Right, the final thing on the rugby, and then we'll get onto the fan Q&A, which we're very excited about, and I'm sure you will be too.
Strange questions in there. Some really weird
we got some good ones in there. So final thing then, World Cup, of course, the big World Cup coming up. First of all, so it's a two-parter. First question is, how do you see England's chances? Of course, we hope you're involved. But yeah, what do you think of England's chances going into the World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's massively exciting. I think we had a good end to last year, winning in Australia. I think that's it's given me definitely a lot of confidence, and I think if we improve this year as a team collectively and work together as a team on our togetherness and that part of it, I think we put ourselves in a good position. That there's obviously a lot of good teams at the minute in the world. So yeah, we're going to have to, if given the opportunity, we're going to have to pitch up on the day and perform, because, as I said, there's a lot of teams who want that trophy, and we here in England definitely want it as well.
Which teams do you think are the biggest threats, if you had to pick?
I think obviously France are top of the world at the minute. They won the Six Nations last year. They won the Grand Slam last year, and they had a good tour. I think they were in Japan this summer. They had a good tour down there. Ireland obviously won down in New Zealand, and then in the Northern Hemisphere as well, you got in the Southern Hemisphere as well, you got South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, who over the last, for as long as I've watched rugby, they've always been in semi-finals rugby at the World Cup. So yeah, as I said, there's 5 or 6 teams there that will all be believing they can win it, and fingers crossed that I get there next summer, and as well as that, fingers crossed we can do the business.
Sorry to butt in quickly. You literally just pinged a question in my head. I've always been obsessed with New Zealand and the haka, of course. When you done a tour when you were younger, did you say you went to New Zealand?
I went to Australia. Never been to New Zealand.
Have you ever faced the haka? Have you ever faced a team that does the haka in front of you?
I've never faced the haka, but when I was younger in Singapore, we there was the Junior Commonwealth Games, and we had a New Zealand mate who managed to get us to do the welcome to, I think it was on a video, which was shown at the opening ceremony, and we learnt this little haka, which was quite cool, and I was real young, with all the like pukana and all that when they'd stick their tongue out. And stuff like that.
Did you swear at me, Marcus?
No.
You scared him. What'd you do?
That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
That was a really bad joke, mate. Tube shouldn't have made that.
Yeah, damn it.
Oh, that's back out of order. Right, final question, and then I'll let Ryan kick us off with the Q&A. Final question: how much has the Lionesses and England's Euro 2020 run impacted the rugby, if anything? Has it sort of spurred you guys on to want to do well?
Yeah, 100%. There was a lot of us who watched that towards, when was that? A few months ago now.
Yeah.
I watched the semis, watched the quarters and the final, and it was just inspirational. Like seeing Wembley packed out, seeing their celebrations after. There was definitely a lot of hard work put into that, and I hope they all had a brilliant night. And I even watched the stage they had in Trafalgar Square?
Yeah,
they were all singing,
they were steaming.
They seemed happy, and I think it's one of them things it's history, isn't it? And obviously the England women rugby team are down in New Zealand now playing in the World Cup. So
yeah,
and they're I think they're top of the world at the minute on rankings.
25 unbeaten, I think.
Yeah, I think they've got the record for the most games unbeaten. Wow. So
yeah,
I'm sure they're going down, they're favourites, and hopefully they can do the job down there.
Before I go on to the fan Q&A, Marcus, we talk about the Lionesses and that run. We talk about England even 2021 and that run. I know it's so cliche, and you mentioned it as well, the word togetherness. It's so cliche, but does it actually, do you feel that as players, if you've got a proper strong group, does it really spur you on like that extra sort of yard, in these big tournaments? Yeah,
I think so. I think it's one of them things that you have to intentionally work on. You've got to spend a lot of time getting to know each other on and off the field, especially off it, which therefore will transfer onto the field. Just to know how to get the best out of each other, just to know how to get into people when you feel a point's on. You need to know them well, otherwise you'll end up annoying them or getting into them too hard. So it's one of them things. I think the more time you spend off the field, it makes it a lot easier and seamless transition onto the field, and also as well being a home Euros, it must have been unbelievable for those girls to have that support from the nation, because the nation was right behind them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sorry, I'm going to have to ask another question on that.
Go on.
Sorry, speaking of England camps and kind of selections and togetherness, obviously Gareth Southgate done a brilliant job with that, especially like the 2018 World Cup. People have their opinions on him now, of course, but do you understand World Cup selections or even just England squads when he calls players up or he calls a squad up? Do you understand them a bit more because you've kind of experienced that as an international player? So for the likes of him always picking Tyrone Mings and Harry Maguire, even if they're not doing well,
sort of thing, yeah.
Do you kind of is that because of the togetherness that he wants to keep in the England camp? Do you reckon?
I think if you look at the England squad over the last 6 to 8 years, there's been a core of them playing, and I think that the togetherness they've built, even the Euros, when was that, 2018? No, 20.
Last year.
Was it 2020? 2020?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, last year.
It was meant to be 2020.
Whenever it was.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And then the World Cup before that. I think it's a core group of players who have spent a lot of time together and clearly very good footballers. So I think it's one of them things. It definitely plays a part. And yeah, it's one of them things.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, to be honest. I've always wanted to know if the togetherness thing was actually true, or if it was just one of those sort of media cliches. But no, it's good to hear.
Stuff, yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the you've always got to lower your IQ a little bit now. You've got to always just go back to being in year 10 and think, do you know what, we're going to be really stupid and ask some stupid fan opinions. Because
really good questions that people want to know.
We looked at the fan Q&As. We got a few of them. I'm going to ask probably the most somehow sensible one, apart from where Brighton finished and all that silly thing. I'll ask you one that I found funny from user 351659.
That's actually his username, by the way.
That is actually his username.
He must have been banned from Instagram since I was
But what rugby positions, this is quite funny, would you put us three, Maz, Ben and Ryan, myself?
Oh, interesting.
I'm 6'2", if you don't know.
It seems like the most fun one to ask.
I'd put Ben in the centres. I think, how tall are you, mate? You're about 6 foot something,
Yeah,
isn't it?
6'2", yeah.
Yeah, I'd put Ben in the centres. Lean, probably pretty quick. And
Say lean?
6'2". Yeah, you look quite lean, mate.
To be fair, in comparison to rugby players, yeah, I guess so. No,
Ryan, I'd put full-back. How tall are you, Ryan?
Have a guess, mate.
Oh,
have a guess.
Doesn't want to make it public, mate.
Have a guess.
Oh, you're sure?
No, I'm
sure
actually
as Maz.
It can't, impossible.
not possible.
5'10", 5'10".
5'8". I'll take that.
Yeah, okay.
5'8".
So probably then
5'8".
scrum half. Probably scrum half. Just pulling the strings, number 9. Bossing the forwards around. You speak very well, so bossing the forwards around, and then just pass and stay away from the contact because you'll leave your boots otherwise. And then Maz, I'd put you in the pack. I'd put you maybe as a hooker. I'll put you a little hooker who just bombs it around the field, making big tackles, and you're quite stocky. So I'll put you in there.
I'll take that, mate. Stocky means
fat,
but I'll take it.
That's not what I mean.
Stocky, i.e.
Big bones,
aka
mate.
fat. Yeah,
Big
That's
bones.
not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
No, I'll take it. Although I am a massive pussy as well, so that's always also funny because I would not make any tackles. All right, next one. Favourite Albion player? Well, let's do this season and let's do all time as well.
My favourite Albion player this season is... Oh, this is tough. It'll be McAllister. He's the boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. What about McAllister? Yeah, what do you enjoy about him?
Oh, I love the fact that he's physical. He gets stuck
Number
in.
10.
He makes good challenges. He wears the number 10.
And follows you on Instagram, I think.
He's
Games follow us.
Stalker, Ben.
He's been scoring.
No,
He's scored some brilliant goals at the start of the season, and he looks like he loves playing for the club. So I love him. And then all time, I was actually discussing this at the Tottenham game. It's probably it's between Liam Bridcut and Will Buckley.
Liam
I
Bridcut.
love that.
Do you know what?
I love Liam Bridcut.
That's mad you say that, you know. A year ago today, we interviewed Buckley. That's pretty mental.
Was that today?
It came up my Snapchat.
Mate, he's the boy. He's the boy as well.
Yeah. No, fair. That's
I love Dunk as well. I love Dunk just because of how much he loves the Albion, and
have you got to meet
he's
him?
just a man, isn't he? Huh?
Have you got to meet Dunk yet?
I've never met Lewis Dunk, no.
Oh, mad. So, mate, hang on. Before you move on from that one, Marcus, who do you think will be our player of the season based on sort of what you've seen? Do you think it will be McAllister, or could you see it be anyone else this year?
I think he's leading at the minute. I think Caicedo, if he carries on playing the way he's playing as well, he could get it. But again, like Sanchez or Dunk as well, one of them maybe. But I like the saves that Sanchez was making. Some of them were unreal on the weekend.
The Liverpool game was mad. The Trent free kick.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Right in the bottom
well.
corner.
Yeah.
But Harry HJI. Do you want to go, Maz?
No, I was just about to say, Bobby Sanchez, I met him the other day, and I mentioned Seagulls Social. He didn't have a clue what I was talking about, so big up yourself, Bobby.
I survived.
That's good feedback.
He's coming on the podcast next week, lads.
He's a liar. He's a liar, Maz. He's not telling you the truth.
Yeah, he's a massive
Sorry,
fan.
Ben. Carry on. Go on. Sorry, Ben.
So yeah, Harry HJI, I think is his name. This is a really good question, I thought. So he says, Marcus,
sure.
if you had a card on FIFA, what would your best stat be and what position? So we've always said centre mid.
Yeah, I'd have centre mid, and
Shall I quickly
I
get the
reckon
stats
it
out?
would be passing.
Passing, yeah.
Passing.
What
Passing.
rating out of 100?
Oh, interesting.
Hey, you're right, Marcus.
He's
You're
the
right,
humble,
you're right.
humble
You're
is
right.
sort of-
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. So the rating of my whole card, or just the stat?
Let's do the whole card and also, just the
Yeah,
stat.
just
maybe.
pass
The rating of
yeah.
my card, I back myself 80.
I think that's quite low, but yeah,
Okay.
fair enough. Yeah.
And
What, as a
then,
rugby player, you mean?
Oh,
It's all right.
No, as football.
As a footballer.
I thought you meant as a rugby player.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about
Based on
football.
rugby.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's-
it was
it's-
football,
yeah,
yeah.
so-
Yeah.
I thought we were doing FIFA ratings, but for his rugby, I thought that's what we were doing.
I was going to follow up with that, but yeah.
Oh,
maybe
okay,
that's it,
my bad.
No, so yeah, it'll be 80, and my passing will be 82.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So Messi's got 86 passing, I think, so just a bit under.
Does he?
No, I'm joking. That was his old
No,
card.
he's got like 90. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just joking.
His face.
I've played with him, man. I've played with him.
That's what I said.
If he's 86, mate, I'm about 6.
But then I guess, on rugby, if they had Ultimate Team cast of rugby, because they need to bring back Rugby 08, because that was one of the best PS2 games I've ever played in my life. What would your stat be? What would your rating be as a rugby player?
Hopefully it'll be like either kicking or like vision or passing, one of them.
But overall rated score as a rugby player. So let's,
Oh.
yeah.
I can't answer that, mate.
99.
I can't answer that. You know I
If
can't.
Mbappe and Haaland are like early 90s, surely you'll be about that maybe.
No, I'm not. If
Marcus,
that,
Oh, yes, you
go on.
would.
Go on.
No, you go on.
No, I was gonna say if you could compare yourself to any footballer, who would you compare yourself to and why?
Yeah, I read that.
Great.
As a rugby player? Or
Yeah.
as a footballer?
No. So as in, if you were a footballer, who do you think you're most like? So like, would you say you're an Mbappe or a Haaland or nah?
No, nowhere near.
Nah?
No.
Mate, you're too humble, mate. You're too humble. Come on.
Nowhere
Tell
near.
us the
Have
Have you
truth,
seen your
mate.
highlights of us, Marcus? Have you
Yeah,
not
come
seen
on.
it? They're mad.
You're the Mbappe. You're the Mbappe of rugby.
Nowhere
mate.
near. Nowhere near.
Oh, that's going to be the podcast title. The Mbappe
It's
of
all right.
rugby.
Leave it.
No, nowhere near.
All right, next one. What's your go-to meal deal if you had to go for a meal
Tony
deal?
says that, by the way.
Ooh.
Get his name.
Yeah,
Go-to
Tony.
meal deal.
Big up Tony.
MGC.
Tony
It would
MGC.
be either a chicken Caesar wrap, prawn cocktail
Nice.
crisps,
Oh,
and either a sparkling water or
That is so Brighton College. That is so
Yeah,
Brighton.
sparkling water.
Andrew
or one of them
Tate, is that you?
or one of them San Pellegrino orange ones. You know the red ones.
Yeah.
Either a sparkling water or one of them.
You pulled it back. The sparkling water, I was like, it's a red card. But
Mate, sparkling
that-
water
the
is
Sam-
unbelievable.
Yeah, if you go to Brighton College, yeah.
Yeah, if you go into private school, they have sparkling water come out of the fountains. They don't have normal water.
They're too bougie for
too
tap
bougie.
water. Too
Screw
bougie.
that,
It's got to be
still
filtered.
stuff.
It's got to be filtered.
Uh,
Final one, right? Go on.
Sorry,
Final
yeah,
question.
last one on there. Samuel Barrett, however you want to be called. Where do you think Brighton will finish this season? That's a tough one, because of De Zerbi. So I'll give you like De Zerbi tax, new manager sort of thing.
It's a derby stacks.
No, I like De Zerbi, but I mean like new
Yeah.
manager bouts.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
funny.
What you mean, yeah.
So
Transition.
just a question. Europa League's 5th and 6th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or was it 8th?
Yeah.
And then
What's the one
conference
7th to
is-
8th?
A conference. Europa conference.
Yeah,
So
conference is
I
second.
reckon we can get Europa Conference.
You think? What, even with the new coaching, everything's changed, do you think we can still be on for it?
I reckon we can. I think the way they've been coached by him for a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe.
It's clear to see, isn't it, the difference?
It's clear to see the difference in styles, and I think that's 1 week of coaching. So, and we were on top of Tottenham. So if we're going to be frustrated to lose to teams like that, which should come above us,
Teams like Tottenham.
I don't think there's many teams if we play well who will beat us, especially at the Amex. And our away form's been decent apart from the
Away
one I
form's been
went
unreal,
to.
to be honest.
Apart from the one I went to, that was horrific. The one in Fulham,
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that was abysmal.
Oh, yeah.
mate, I was livid. Saying
Wearing
that,
his lab bubble jumper.
we scored both the
How can
goals
it get
anyway.
worse?
We scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
OG, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just to point out, by the way, Marcus has been sitting on. What have you been sitting on the steps the whole time? The stairs. He's been moving in. So this is the dedication that this man has put into this. That is unreal.
That's a shift. Great shift from you, Marcus. I love it. Listen, Marcus, you've been an absolute pleasure. Like,
honestly, top class,
really good fun.
Top class.
It's, I've been laughing for like the whole hour. So it's been, apart from the Mwepu stuff, obviously. It's been class to have you, mate, and really appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man. Any final words? Anything you want to leave us with? Any parting wisdom?
No, just thank you for having me, all 3 of you. I'll keep watching the podcast, and hopefully I see you all down at either an away game or down at the Amex one day.
We'll get some tickets to a rugby game. I think we got.
We need to do an away day. Yeah, 100%. You guys come up as well. Come up as well if you want to come.
I want to go
Seagulls Social at the Stoop. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, love it. Seagulls Social at the Stoop.
Little vlog.
Come on now.
Let's
do it.
Wait, Marcus,
get us to do kicks at half time. I beg, please.
It'll be like Make-A-Wish, mate. Yeah, fucking hell. Make-A-Wish Foundation. Right, listen. Sorry, that was a bit too much.
It would be.
Right, Marcus, before you go. We always do a comments down below. So we always get our guests to do a comments down below. What do you want the people to leave in the comments this week?
What do you mean? It's their choice, isn't it?
No. So you make it up. So for example, to give you an example, so last week, what did we have last week? It was the Zerby ball or something like that. I think we had.
Just do something like that.
So just anything topical.
Something that we spoke about in the pod today. Really.
Like up the Quins. You could put up the Quins or something like that.
Yeah. Something that's stuck out in your mind throughout the pod.
Teams like Tottenham.
Yes, that's good.
Nice.
Good.
Like that a lot. Right, amazing. Listen, as per usual, please do hit that like button, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And if you do that, and we get enough traction, Marcus has promised he'll come on again.
I'd like to get Marcus on again.
Tomorrow,
He's already made the promise.
He already longed us off twice, and he's finally made it. I got him. I love it.
Better than tubes.
Yeah, I love it. No, Marcus, you've been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and peace out.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Right, so we had an amazing chat. We're still here. We had an amazing chat with man like Marcus Smith. That was incredible. Really good fun. He was,
honestly,
just great.
One of the best guests that we've ever had, without a doubt. That is right up there.
You hear that, Knockout?
Right up there.
You hear that, mate?
No, I love Anthony. I love
Brian's
Anthony.
go.
I love everyone. Yeah. No, he's my go. I can't ever disrespect
He's going to be fuming with you, mate.
Any circumstances. But no, mate, absolute legend. All joking aside, such a top guy.
Yeah, absolute legend. But boys, we aren't finished yet.
On to better things now.
We aren't finished yet. We got a while to go. Even though we're an hour into the podcast already, we've got to talk about Brentford, of course. Now, as we discussed, Spurs obviously frustrating result, disappointing, frustrating, but it's Spurs at the end of the day. A couple of seasons back, like you said, Ryan, we probably didn't expect to get anything out of Spurs. So the fact we narrowly lost 1-0, not the end of the world, but we have got it. We have got the best game to put things right, which is Brentford. Brentford away. Now, no, by no means an easy task. I'm not saying it is, but they've just lost 5-1.
Despite them losing 5-1.
Well, yeah, they lost 5-1 against Newcastle. So, going into it, we should be full of confidence. So, Ryan, kick us off. What do you think of the game against Brentford? Obviously, away on a Friday night, just to add. 7:30 kickoff, I believe. Talk to us.
West London, let's go. No, I'm joking. I don't know. To be honest with you, it's gonna be weird because obviously they lost 5-1, right? And when your team loses 5-1, you've got to bounce back. Otherwise, your fans just going to be toxic on you. So for that reason, I'm a little bit. They are going to be naturally fired up, but obviously for every single reason at the moment, the storyline is written for us in the stars, right? So we have everything to play for. De Zerbi having his first real impact, obviously, will be in Mwepu situation, and I've seen actually some quality stuff. I think the guy was called Joseph, the guy that what's his name? Joseph something. Joseph. Sorry, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry. The one who literally said he would get Ben White tattooed on him. I've literally forgotten his name. Joseph.
Joseph O'Neill.
O'Neill, yeah.
I got it for a second. I'm so sorry, Joseph. But yeah, he said about the Zambia flags, which was honestly like the best idea I've seen. such a good idea. It blew up, gave it like retweets, everything, and plugged it. It's done wonders, and I really, really hope that that away end, I will not be there. It's the first game I'm missing in ages. So annoying. But I hope that away end is filled with Zambia flags, all that support for Mwepu. And from that, you should get a real boosted team in a horrible, different way that, the almost like you've got that story with the fans and the players. We always talk about that connection to fans and players. I think that's really, really been evident since the whole Mwepu situation, and it's really clear to see that all the players really, really do get behind it. And I really hope that we can reciprocate that with at least. I think we've got to be looking at a win here. I really do. I think we've got to be looking at a couple of goals. Really, we're good enough to beat Brentford. We're good enough to beat any team in the league. So I'm gonna say, yeah, pretty much that. To be honest, I want to go to Brentford and really control that game.
If we want to finish 8th in the Premier League, like Marcus predicted us to, we want to beat teams like Brentford, don't we? But it's just not as easy, is it? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're quite good at home. Yeah, they've got a great striker, Ivan Toney, even right in Burmo. Yeah, they have got a solid team and they're so well organised. That seeing them lose 5-1 was very, very strange. And obviously, if we had a Brentford fan, he might be able to tell us why that happened or how that happened, because that was an anomaly, wasn't it? That's how I say it. Yeah.
If there are any Brentford fans out there, by the way, hit us up, because I haven't actually. I think it'd be great to get one on. It's different.
Yeah, no.
You don't know any Brentford. Of course, there are some Brentford fans in the scene, but you don't really see them on Twitter.
Do you know what I would say? Actually,
they probably say the same about us,
on what Ben's point is. I mean, Brentford are a really club that's got my respect, to be honest, because they're very similar to us, right, in the way they operate. They go off the gambling sort of thing, a bit like Tony Bloom, hence the sort of back and forth in the past between Bloom and the Brentford owner. But they're very similar in terms of idea and the way they've recruited, and they've sold their best players and profited from it. And they're doing, honestly, an amazing job. So it's weird because it's a team I've got a lot of respect for. So I'm not really like, you go into some teams and you're like, you want to beat them because you really don't like them. Like, I don't like Tottenham at all. But you go into Brentford, it's like, I actually have a lot of respect for this side.
Which is a massive contrast between the two chairmen, isn't it? Because obviously they've got probably the biggest chairman rivalry.
There's probably respect there as well,
Real Madrid, maybe.
Like with everything that's...
A little bit, I imagine. But
I think
do you reckon Tony Bloom will be in the stand? Because obviously last season he was.
Yeah.
I know it's a Friday night, but probably, I wonder if he will still go. Because honestly, that was such a great time seeing him.
Did in the Championship, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Brentford.
He was like 15 rows in front of me.
I was going to say, because obviously, last season, we beat him away 1-0. And then we beat them at home 2-0. So, in the last season, and then you've got to go back to the Championship day since we last played.
Was it 2-0 or 3-0?
2.
Did we win 3-0? Oh, was it 2? Oh, right.
I'm 99% sure it was 2.
Mope scored like top bin goal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was at home. That was 2. Away was 1.
Yeah, and then we beat him 1-0.
Away was 1.
Trossard 90th minute.
Last minute.
That was sick.
But I think if you've got to look at last season, obviously it was very positive results home and away. Again, it's going to be different this season. Both teams, very different circumstances, different manager now for us, and of course Brentford have still got Thomas Frank, but they're different now. They obviously lost Christian Eriksen, which is a big part of how they played last season. So it's going to be an interesting game. I feel like off the back of a 5-1 loss for them, a frustrating 1-0 loss for us. If you go into it looking at it that way, and obviously got a positive result at Anfield the week before, I feel like we should go into this as favourites. But that's not to say we are going to win this game. I just feel like if you have to put it down to favourites on paper.
The thing is, we seem too passive, Maz, I think, to be fair, because the more I think about it, the more I think we need to be like, De Zerbi needs his first win to come quicker than sooner than later. You don't want to, I know I don't have any doubt on De Zerbi, but he wouldn't want to have the ongoing situation of, another draw, we lost to Tottenham, probably didn't deserve to. You wouldn't want to then go to Brentford and then not be able to win the game. And then you've got Forest after, who are another team that are probably one of the worst in the league, to be honest with you, Forest. And it's another team, again, only a few days later, which we should be looking at winning that game by a fair amount of goals, to be honest with you. They really don't look good. And you look at these two games, that has to be really 6 points in De Zerbi's mind. It's not a must-win by any stretch, but I think for his own sanity that things are working for him, I think he'll want to get that ball rolling a lot sooner than later, because otherwise doubt sets in.
Considering we got Man City and Chelsea after that, I think you're right.
Exactly.
I feel like if we don't get from the next game, which is Brentford, and then not even Forest, if we don't get 4 points at least. Not that I'll be worried, but I would be a bit like, I would feel a bit frustrated.
A bit more.
Yeah, I would be like, how have we not got more than 4? Like, if let's say we lost both games, you'll be like, how? Because then we got Man City and Chelsea. That'll be 4 losses on the board. Sorry, 5 losses on the bounce.
It depends on the manner that we lost it. Like if we went into Brentford, and we got absolutely outplayed and we were terrible and it was an awful day, then you'd be thinking, my God, okay, hopefully that was a nominee. And then if you don't go and beat Forest, then that's when you get worried about, I'm not as in a doubt on De Zerbi, but a doubt for De Zerbi, as in he's going to be thinking, am I doing something wrong? What's going wrong here? So that's almost the part where you want to get that first win. It's a bit like a striker at the beginning of the season, isn't it? You want to hit the ground running as soon as you can. And, I mean,
he even admitted.
There you go.
He admitted that he made a mistake, didn't he, against Spurs?
Yeah,
he got his formation
15.
wrong, which is weird.
It's good.
That was a strange one because
I
think he didn't expect. Yeah, it's cool for him to admit that, but it's a strange one to get wrong because Basuma came in and he still got the formation wrong or something like that.
And also as well,
Charleston was going to start
after 15 minutes as well. If you know, surely why does it take you 15 minutes to realise that? With all due respect,
Basuma's on the pitch,
we're like 5 minutes in. Surely a couple of minutes in, you're like, okay, he's playing 5 in midfield. Like you then adapt. But again, that's not a dig. I feel like at least he put his hands up and admitted it. I was going to say,
that was his main mistake. But then the other mistakes were the players. Like against Tottenham, the passing was a shambles, and that's pretty much why we didn't get a result from that, because we couldn't string a pass together for love nor money. If that happens again against Brentford, we will struggle. Because it's just, that's part of the game.
Go on, Ron.
I was just going to quickly say, because I went to the game in completely different circumstances.
Did you say, go on to yourself just then?
No, I was going to say it to you, and then no, I was going to say it to you, but then like I have a little a minor delay in it, and you and I, so I'll just go. Anyway, I was going to say I went to the game in different circumstances. So I went with Copper, who I didn't even realise were going to be there, to be fair. So Copper Knightley gave me the tickets for corporate, and it was such a weird situation because there was 3 Tottenham fans, and it was just me as a Brighton fan, which sounds terrible. And all of them had the opinion of, as soon as that team came in, and I agreed with them, I was thinking this is going to be a struggle, to be honest with you, because I thought Basuma would be a lot more up for it. It was definitely not the same Basuma that I remembered from Brighton. And I thought ultimately Tottenham, that team looked good enough to potentially drill us. And to be honest with you, I think it's credit really to De Zerbi for the fact that, even the Tottenham fans were pretty confident in the side they put out, that we went in there and we had to make them defend for about 60 minutes of the game. Yes, we probably didn't put enough chances together, and maybe we didn't put the passes together as much as we'd like to, but ultimately, something was working there for them to have to park the bus. It's a full credit to De Zerbi, and I think that'll only get better. And naturally, we've never been very good at taking on sides that park the bus, have we? Ever, to be honest.
Yeah. No, 100% right. Boys, let's wrap this up then. Oh, sorry, before we do, question. Does Mitoma start against Brentford?
Ooh. Yeah, I'd start.
Ryan, yes?
I'd start him. Yeah, definitely.
Who would you take out then?
That's the hard bit.
Start him. We'll have 12 players.
With 12. Get 12.
This is the hard thing because I think he adds so much to the team. Mitoma, I think he's so exciting to watch. Very quick, great touch on him. Very capable of taking on players. A lot of confidence in the boy. Really exciting player. Honestly, one of the most exciting players you've had probably since Knockout's days. And it's tough because obviously I mentioned Stupinian before. Probably wouldn't take him out now. I don't know. I think you then look at a bit further up. We've got Solly March. I don't know. He didn't have his best game against Tottenham. It's harsh to drop him, so I probably couldn't. And then that's where you start wondering, isn't it? You can't obviously drop Trossard. He's the best player at the moment. And that's where the questions get asked. I think the only one that's culprit that could is March on the back of their last performance. But as the saying goes, you're only as good as your last game. Whether De Zerbi will sense that and put Mitoma in as a gamble to put a stamp on, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Ben, any thoughts on the whole Mitoma situation?
I guess there kind of maybe needs to be a change. Yeah, I would like to see him. He's a bit more direct, but maybe again he's just one of those players that is better off the bench.
Yeah,
I think with his directness and his pace, it might be one that he'll just be good to come on later in the game. Unfortunately for him, I wouldn't know what changes to make. So no, it was the exact same team that we played Liverpool, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. Same. So I wouldn't know. I probably wouldn't make any changes. Hopefully Tottenham and the way we played, which was quite poorly, was just a blip, and hopefully we'll get back
I generally think just Conte out tactic. Is that a word? Out tactic.
It just went.
You know what I mean? I feel like Conte got his plan. They got their goal, and they just sat back and just defended. Which fair play. They got their win.
So
Yeah,
Can I just
and
say
Toma, I would
before-
love to see him
go on,
start,
sorry.
but I agree with Ben. No, sorry, I was
Before
supposed to say
you
I
wrap
agree
up-
with Ben. I think. Go on.
No, you were saying about that. This is the thing. Me and Mass have a delay. That's why it sounded like I was talking to myself.
Sorry. I thought you were saying like to wrap up, as in you. Oh right. Okay,
No,
no,
I was
that's
going to
fine.
say
That's
before we wrap up, I'll talk about Gilmore. But then,
go on.
this is such a
Go for
messy
it.
episode, but I love it.
No, go on,
So
go on,
I was
go
going to
for
say, I was going to say about Gilmore because I was going to say, we only saw flashes of him, but the flashes I saw of him looked quite excited. Actually, we only saw him for about 5-10 minutes. I want to see more of him. Whether that means he gets maybe 20 minutes against Brentford or even potentially a bit more than that. I like the look of him. I think De Zerbi senses he likes the look of him as well. So he could be another one to watch. I think Gilmore.
Hopefully, he can turn him into a Locatelli type because
imagine.
I wouldn't say De Zerbi made Locatelli, but Locatelli flourished under him. I believe,
for sure.
So.
Sure.
And Rasparadini, who's now smashing it for Napoli, by the way. So shout out to him. But yeah, right, predictions, boys. Ryan, let's start with you. Predictions.
Tough one. I'm going to go 2-0, and I just think we really need to make a stamp. I think De Zerbi want to make a stamp. I have a feeling
2-0 Brentford,
Yeah, Brighton. I think he could make a gamble. I think he could chuck something in. I think he senses that something could work. Potentially Matoma, potentially Gilmore. I don't know. But I think 2-0. I want to see us go win.
Nice. Ben?
I'm going to say 1-0. I don't know.
Ben.
I think we might be underestimating Brentford. They'll be up for it Friday night under the lights. I think I say every time it's under the lights, but 1-0.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna go 2-1
Yes.
Brighton.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna. My heart says it's gonna be a draw, but my head says it's gonna be a draw.
Head says draw.
My heart 2-1. Yeah, 2-1 Brighton.
And my dick says 8-0 Brighton.
Right, boys. Listen, what an absolute corker of an episode that was. Big shout out to Marcus Smith, as always.
Mentally drained
what a
now,
legend.
as you can tell.
Also,
going from that to just
final thing, obviously as well. We send all our love to Mwepu and his family, his friends, himself, and of course, big shout out to everyone supporting and showing love. And thank you so much for everyone listening. We really hope you enjoyed it. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. It does mean a lot to us. And of course, keep streaming on all the Spotify and Apple and all that good stuff as well.
What did Marcus say to comment?
Comment teams like
Spurs. Teams like Spurs. Tottenham. Tottenham.
Spurs, Right. Listen, absolutely legends. Thank you, everyone involved, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.